This is Computer Science 1213, Introduction to Computing. I'm Chris Riley, instructor, and this is a video about using the keyboard, mouse, and proximity options in Alice. What I've got right now is the program that's set up. Well, I started with the one that's used in the video for this project, 6.1, and I've altered it, put in billboards. Let me just run it here. There's the title screen, there's movement controls, and now there's keyboard controls, or there would be if there were any in there. So there's the program as it sits right now. So that's what this stuff does here in my first method, which is where we generally put our code or calls to other methods. In fact, this billboard stuff could be in a billboard method. Yeah, I would probably cut it up a couple of different ways, but I just did this as an explanation of how to do a billboard. But notice that's all that's here. There's no calls. There's no other code to make the alien robot move around. Where we have to go is this Initialize Event Listeners tab, which we haven't used. If I click on that, you'll see one section in here, and it says a Scene Activation Listener. And then underneath that, it says My First Method. So what's happening whenever you run a program is Alice looks at this Initialize Event Listeners first. And when it does, it finds My First Method. So then it goes over here and does whatever is inside My First Method. And that's where we have all our other calls, and it goes off and does all kinds of things. But this Initialize Event Listeners is where you put user interaction for your programs. So we're going to add one. And when you click on that, you have different options that have sub-options. What we want to look at first are the arrow keys. Here's a keyboard option. Do they just press a key? Do they press a number key? An object move? Here's the arrow key. So we're going to put that in. And when we click on that, we have certain parameters up here at the top and a place to put in statements. What we're going to do is grab this is key, event is key, and we're going to use an if control. So I'll put an if up here, call it true, and then I'm going to grab this is key and drop it in here to replace the true. And here's the options for a letter from the alphabet, numbers 0 to 9, or arrows. So I'm just going to start with the left arrow and just go in order. So what this is saying is if the user presses the left arrow key, then we're going to do something. And we're going to do it with the alien robot. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the alien robot left a small amount. Okay? Well, what if they hit a different arrow key? Well, we'll put another if statement in there. If it wasn't a left arrow key, we'll get another key event, an up arrow. If they press an up arrow, then we want the robot to move forward one spot, 1.0. Well, what if they don't hit an up arrow or a left arrow? Well, we'll do another if. These are called nested if statements, by the way. It's like those Russian dolls where one's inside the other. So we'll get another key event. And this will be the right arrow key, because I'm just going in order. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. If they press the right arrow key, I want them to turn right a small amount, 0.02. And then the other option, so I need another if statement, is if they press the down arrow key. So if they press the down arrow key, I want them to go backward 1.0. And there you go. And if they don't press any of these four keys, then it won't do anything with that. They have to press one of those arrow keys. You could do another, well, we could do a key press here. What if they press the letter K? Well, then I want to pick the head of the alien robot, and I want to turn it, I think. Turn it or roll it. I'm just going to go left 0.25, 1.25. I'm not sure what they use there. Well, let's run this thing and look at it. So there's my screens. I'm going to jump through those. There's the letter K. I think that works like the video. And then if I press the down arrow key, he goes back. Up arrow key goes forward. Left arrow key turns left. Okay, he's not turning. I think I've got one wrong here. Turn. I want to turn this. So let me go back to alien robot. And instead of moving, I want to turn left, turn right. So that'll fix that. And there's your K right there. Then if I add another one, let's say that I want to click on, all right, let's put a mouse click in here. Click on an object listener, and I'm going to pull up an if statement, make it true. Then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to pick an S thing equal to, and I want the UFO when it's equal to the UFO. Now I'm going to change this second UFO to the mouse. So if the mouse clicks on where the UFO is, then we're going to do something. So let's do it together. And let's turn left 8 and move up 2. Alright, let's try that. I increased the numbers a little bit. I want to turn left 18 and move up 10. So let's run the program and see what happens. Get through these screens. Alright. So I'm going to back him up so this works. Then I'm going to look toward the ship. It's moving kind of slow. Alright, so the keys work, and if I click on the ship, the ship takes off. Let's look at the code. If I click on the UFO with the mouse, then I'm going to turn the ship to the left and move it up at the same time to send it off wherever it goes. Now there's one more event listener we need to look at, and that's position orientation. And I want to use this. They have several options. They have collision, proximity, view, occlusion, which is in front of or behind. So what I want to use is proximity. I'm going to use a custom array. And I'm going to add the UFO. And here it's going to be the robot. So what happens now is when, and I need to change to the robot, when the robot gets to the UFO, I'm going to make the robot disappear. I'm going to add a couple things here. Okay. So let me turn toward the ship. Slowly, slowly. And it gets close to the spaceship. And then I click on the ship, and the alien robot's in the ship, supposedly. But what we did is just made him invisible. Otherwise, he'd still be sitting on the ground there. You'd see him sitting on the ground. And that's a proximity event. And all of these are you're asked to use all of these in your project. So that's how you do these things. And that concludes this video on the robot.